Good morning. This is Alan Appel, staff writer with the New Haven Independent, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to I think it's the 15th year of The Great Give, and the 7th or 8th year that we have been hosting New Haven's wonderful nonprofits here at our station, WNHH. And in a second or two, I'm going to introduce our first guests of this day one, hour one of The Great Give. They're from Desk, the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen. But first, I want to say you are listening to The Great Give Radiothon on WNHH FM, and we're helping nonprofits, as always, from throughout not just New Haven, but the greater New Haven area, raise money to continue their good work and to make a difference in people's lives. And to donate to any of the organizations you hear, like Desk, who's coming up, and the Eli Center, who's coming up later, and Fellowship Place, all the wonderful institutions helping young people, old people, in between people all over New Haven. You go to thegreatgive.org, and don't forget thegreatgive.org. And while you're doing it, if you'd like to throw in a few bucks to keep this station and the New Haven Independent humming, you can find us at the website New Haven Independent. And now, my pleasure to introduce Steve Werlen, the executive director, president, CEO, all those things.
We'll go with just executive director.
And his colleague, Roosevelt Watkins. So tell us about what the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen is doing. And it's doing a lot. And for New Haveners, they see a lot of construction and changes on State Street, 266 State Street.
Absolutely.
And over at St. PJ's Church on Olive. And welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, let me dive right in. I mean, there's so much happening at Desk these days. It's kind of hard to know where to begin. But I'll start, since you mentioned it, with our renovation project. So, as many people know, we've had a drop-in and resource center, a low-barrier downtown drop-in and resource center for folks who are unhoused, unsheltered, in need of a variety of resources. We've been running that program on State Street at 266 State Street since early 2021. We opened it sort of in the midst of the pandemic, in the heat of it, it's been really great. But the plan all along was to do a major renovation so that we could put in a few more components. The main floor where we've had our dining room and our hangout space, our cafe, has been wonderful. But the components that haven't existed in that building were the kitchen. We've been using an old kitchen in Center Church's Parish House on Temple Street for the last almost 25 years. So that equipment in that kitchen has run its course, so it's time for a new kitchen. But also, the new piece we're going to be putting into this building is going to be a medical clinic. There's going to be a dedicated medical clinic run by our partners at Cornell Scott Hill Health Center, run by their homeless healthcare department. And this is going to be a medical clinic dedicated to serving people who are unhoused.
A kind of urgent care with a specific skill with dealing with like homeless folks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, part of the strategy of the work that we've been doing at the Drop-In Resource Center is providing a range of basic needs and meeting people literally where they are, and that's also the work that Hill Health's homeless healthcare department does as well. They go to wherever people are. So for years they've been going to the encampments, going to shelters, going to soup kitchens. And years ago when we first started conceiving of this idea, I remember having a great conversation back in
the idea, meaning the medical.
Exactly. Yeah. Co-locating a medical.
What
clinic.
a wonderful idea.
So I had a conversation. This is going back to 2017 with Phil Costello, who many of you know.
I know him. He's the guy who walks around with the backpack on.
That's
the green.
right. Yeah. I mean, this is someone who is essentially a field medic. He's going out into places where you don't see a lot of services being offered, and helping people where they are. And he said to me, we're out there doing rounds on the New Haven Green. We need a place downtown where we can say to someone, hey, let's not do this procedure in public. Let's go over to our medical clinic where we can have our exam room, where we can have some privacy.
Wonderful. So Steve, you're listening here to you're on thegreatgive.org. Mm-hmm. If people are inspired by what you're doing and the need to have this medical clinic, they should go to what's the website?
So there's a shortcut. They can go to deskct.org/greatgive. I'll say that again. It's deskct.org/greatgive, all one word.
And the fundraising you're doing, is it specifically for that aspect of your work or for general operating?
So this year, the all of the funds raised for the Great Give will go to support our mission and our program. So it is, yes, general operating, but that supports not just the building project itself, but also the services that get offered there. And you mentioned the work we're doing at the Church of St. Paul St. James. That's our pantry program. So it's going to serve that program at all. It's also going to serve to help support our partnerships. And one of the strongest partnerships we have is actually with UACT. And I'd like to take this point and introduce my colleague here, Roosevelt Watkins, who's one of the coordinators for the Unhoused Activists Community Team.
Okay, and tell us what UACT is. And while Roosevelt is on, you need to prepare, I'm told by our producers, a song or a poem that's required. But Roosevelt, tell us about UACT.
UACT is the Unhoused Activist Team. Man, we all know that the best advocates is advocating for yourself. So that's what we tend to do. You may hear us out on the green in front of City Hall at times, for different things. As you may have noticed coming through the green, there's now more than just the 2 porta-johns. That was just a recent win that we have, thank God, because unfortunately, some people need to use the restroom throughout the day. So when you have nowhere to go to call home to use the restroom, that's your last resort, of course.
So how many are there out there now due to your work?
Now I believe there's roughly 5. I believe there is.
And that's a first. There are a lot out there if there's a special event on the green.
Exactly.
But this is out on a permanent basis now?
Yes. Now for the permanent basis, there's those. There's at the top of the green.
Tell me, how in fact did you achieve that? What were the did you walk to the mayor's office? How does the advocacy play out?
Well, actually, this time it wasn't through protest. It was through just speaking across the desk. Well, actually, Zoom. Were pictures taken of how deplorable the restroom was, and just a genuine need that there was for more. That we needed more adequate restrooms for people.
Right. So what's been the reception by folks? I imagine delight, to be able to have address that basic need without having a ton of anxiety about it on all.
Of course there is. Wouldn't you or anyone else be delighted not to have to go sit in someone else's feces or urine?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, just to be treated humane out on the street is a win, unfortunately.
So what's I've been reporting in New Haven for many years, and at least 2 or 3 times there have been plans to have permanent bathrooms on the order of what is done sometimes in France and other parts of the world.
New York.
New York
Just
City.
down the road.
So is that next on UACT's agenda, or what's the next goal?
Absolutely, that is the goal. As you say, that's been in the plans for a while, but it's no longer needs to be a plan. It needs to be something that's implemented. Because like I said, people are due dignity, to go into the restroom as a human being in a clean environment.
So if you all want to support the kind of basic human dignity that Roosevelt Watkins from UACT and Steve Werlin from DESC are talking about, you can go to the greatgive.org and when you're there, or go directly via a shortcut, Steve, to what's the address?
It's deskct.org/greatgive.
Right. And as is our tradition here at WNHH on the Great Give-a-thon, the Radiothon, we've asked presenters to sing a song, do a dance, bring an instrument in, recite a poem that may be appropriate or comic relief or whatever. What do you have for us?
I didn't bring any comic relief, actually. I never bring comic relief. One of these years, I'm going to find a sort of a funny poem or a funny song about homelessness. I don't think so, but
no.
But what I've done the last few years, and I've tried to keep this up. I've tried to bring works that people we serve have written. And one of a great resource for that in New Haven, for those who aren't aware, is a publication called Elm City Echo. It is put out through the support of YHAP, the Yale Hunger and Homelessness Action Project. and it's edited by students, but the pieces are written by people with lived experience. It includes essays, it includes some short prose, it also includes some poetry as well. So I'll just read a short one here. This is from I think the spring 2022 edition that came out.
And who's the author?
It just says Tony. Doesn't list the last name.
Okay.
And the title is Waiting. Waiting. On the phone for food stamps. In the hospital for a place to stay. In a shelter for a rehab bed. In rehab for a sober house. In line for my methadone. For a call from a job applied for. But all I ever get is more waiting.
Mm.
I'm actually curious now that I've read that. I mean, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I'm curious, Roosevelt. I mean, does that resonate with you? This idea of like constantly having to be waiting?
Yes. Not only the waiting, the insecurity of what tomorrow may bring.
Yeah.
You know, there's always this thought about why aren't you progressing? Yeah. But the challenge becomes, how do I progress when I'm using all of my energy to survive for today?
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. Sure, I want to, but can I extend that energy to do that which I truly want instead of what I truly need?
I think that's a kind of a contradiction or a conflict that a lot of people don't understand about people dealing with homelessness. So what's the way to, in my take on things, the solution to that conflict, that instead of spending all the energy on survival, so you have some energy left to take steps to improve a life, what's the necessary item? And to me, my takeaway, correct me if I'm wrong, is a place to live.
Yes, absolutely. Over the summer I stayed at Varick Church. And while I was there, I was able to attend a course because I knew exactly where I was going to be every day. Towards the end of that, I was at the city shelter, which is now on Foxton Boulevard, ran by Continuum. So now I got my certification as a RSS. So,
RSS
yes, report support specialist.
Okay.
There's this old video on YouTube. It's a tale of two lighters. One lighter was kept outside all day in the rain, and of course it didn't work. The other was sheltered, and of course there was a flame. And it's as simple as that. If you have a place to stay and you're stable, man, you can produce some things because those are things that you don't have to worry about. So you're able to do more.
So,
and Roosevelt just said a word that I want to hold up and highlight: stable, stability. Finding that stability is so key.
right. So, shelter or a place to live is not sufficient in itself if you're going to be there for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then
No.
that it's stable shelter as the sine qua non.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to support that flame and the work being done by Roosevelt Watkins and Steve Werlin at Desk and UACT, you got to go to thegreatgive.org, and we go to the shortcut also, which Steve is what?
Which is deskct.org/greatgive.
Yeah. I loved that poem by Tony. I just think there's such a simplicity about it. And is there another brief one that you might want to pick out?
There's a longer one here, actually, but I don't know if do we have time for that?
I don't know.
Got a few minutes?
Yep, we have time for a longer one.
All right, so this one is again just a single name attributed to Scott. It's called Everyday Stress. The crunch of the snow at my feet, the nasty feeling of the clothes that I have had on for days, the thoughts racing somewhere between worry and anger, the cigarette burning quick, wondering how to hustle $1 to get 2 more. Blood boiling, hands freezing, the sting of the wind on my face. Looking at the time, it's 2:15, still have 3 hours before dinner. Stomach growls at the thought of it. Wander into Burger King, try to stay hidden. Once discovered, then I'll have to go. Too late. Here she comes. Yes, ma'am, I'll be gone. As I slam the door on the way out, shake my head, and keep moving off to nowhere.
Wow. As you were reading that, I flashed on a periodical that I came across in my obsession with local New Haven history, or whatever local history, wherever I happen to be living. I'm just always curious about what went on there before. I don't think I'm making it up to say that there was a publication that I'm thinking about. It could be the 80s, it could go far back as the 70s. Maybe you know about this. A publication on the theme of homelessness with... when does that date from?
So there's a book called As I Sat on the Green. Is that the one you're thinking? It actually wasn't that long ago.
When was that?
It was about, I think that came out around 2000, 2001, something like that.
But not you guys. Who put that out?
So it was a collaboration. I think it was Columbus House and what's now called New Reach. I think it was at the time called New Haven Home Recovery, I believe.
Okay.
And a few other organizations, and there's some great interviews in there with people who were experiencing homelessness and food insecurity at the time, as well as the directors of Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen and Community Soup Kitchen. I think Allison Cunningham from Columbus House was interviewed. Right. I think Kellyanne Day from what is now New Reach was interviewed. It's a great publication. I'm sure Columbus House still has copies. I have a copy on my shelf. If anybody's interested, you can reach out. But it includes not just interviews, but poetry and first-hand accounts.
But this material that you're reading is not in that publication.
Yeah, this is more recent. This is from YHAP's Elm City Echo publication.
Right. Is that in print or that online?
Yeah, they do that. It's both. What they do is they do them. They post them online. So you can you could Google Elm City Echo or go to the Yale Hunger and Homelessness Action Project's webpage and find it. It's also they put a certain number into print publication, and they give them out to people who are on the street so that they can actually sell them for a couple bucks if they want. So and they've been doing that for a couple of decades now.
Yeah, I remember in New York City, one of the other aspects of advocacy for homeless people, there was a newspaper that was produced. I think it was a daily newspaper, a kind of tabloid, a page or two that folks would sell.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it lasted, but they were selling it on, it was like from an old-fashioned movie, like Newsboys, selling these things. But well, this is great. So the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen, the big push is to finish the construction and put in that medical clinic that you're describing is unique, right, in the city.
I was talking about this at the top, but just to go back to that, so the renovations that we're doing at 266 State Street, and if you're interested, you can read more about it at deskct.org/capital. Plans are on there. It's got some more explanation as to what we're going to have, but we'll have that medical clinic on the third floor. We'll also have some offices for Connecticut Mental Health Center and the United Way and some of our other partners, UACT, to actually hold community meetings there, small meetings, larger meetings, and also do one-on-one consultation. And then at the basement level, we're going to have offices for our program staff so they can be having one-on-one meetings. Our outreach workers will be able to, again, like the medical team, they'll be able to go out into the community and meet people and then say, hey, let's go back to my office so that we can have a private conversation, in a quiet space. So that's the goal, and it's somewhat innovative. There are other projects, across the country that have sort of started as medical clinics, and then they've added basic needs onto it. This is the first project that I'm aware of that has really started as an organization that is a community-based project serving food and other basic needs, and then adding more complicated and complex services like medical care and mental health care onto that. So it's a little bit of a twist, variation on what we've seen in other cities.
Yeah, no, as you're speaking, I'm thinking of the Fairhaven Community Health Center. Yep. That their origins were also to serve a lot of undocumented people, but that began as medical. It didn't transition to doing that, which is unique. Yeah. Roosevelt, any other insights about kind of the challenges of living outside that you think people don't know, or some mythologies that you'd like to perhaps puncture?
Well, right now, for me, the most pressing thing is that, as you may know, the warming centers are now closed. So there'll be a lot of people that will get themselves tents and those type of things. But in the past, the response of the city has been to come bulldoze those down. And for lack of a better term, a homeless man loses his home. Albeit a tent, it's a place as for stability and peace for the most part, because it's home. But that too will be taken away from them. So we need to have a way of not allowing the city to just go and take these people's homes during this crucial period of time.
We're talking about like right now, or the upcoming winter season.
No, not so much the winter, because then the warming centers will be open. But during the spring and summer, you may have heard in the past of tent cities and that type of thing. But the thing is, they'll be crushed and removed.
Yeah, there's sort of it's a little counterintuitive, I think, for most people, because most people think of the winter as the high need time, and it is. But in response, the city and the state put up the funding for all these warming centers in during the coldest months, because people cannot be sleeping outside because the temperatures are too low. So they open these warming centers, but then they close them when the weather starts warming up, and as a result, we see more people are forced out into the street and to sleep in tents, as Roosevelt said, during the warmer months.
So the two of you, especially you here together on the radio, have a lot of experience, lived overview, executive experience. New Haven has been dealing, as every city and town has, with the homeless issue. What if you were in charge? What's our solution here? What kind of housing would solve the problem? What kinds of supportive services? I think on some level, sometimes with these issues, there's a sense of exhaustion that people have, that we're dealing with problems that have no solution. Yeah. But there are solutions. Yeah. Could you, both of you from your different perspectives, describe like what you would do if you had your hands on the budget and on the controls?
Well, the thing is, if you said housing, and once you have the housing, support, and once you have this, I guess you may have to have relationships before you have the support. People thrive with relationships, and the more you build, the stronger you are. Because, for instance, my friend Steve here, my friend Billy, I'm a better person from meeting them.
Billy Bromage.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's one of the people working with the UACT.
UACT as well. Right. But see, the thing is, I know not just because I'm homeless that I don't add value to their lives too. So I think a lot of times we run the issue of saying homeless people, and so you start not to just see people, and that causes a problem in my opinion.
Yeah. So to remember at all points in the discussion that we're talking about individuals, men, women, children, families.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, from sort of a scoping out perspective, first thing I should say is this is not, as you said, this is not sort of a New Haven problem. This is every city, but it's also not a problem that just the city of New Haven can solve. We need a regional approach, we need a state approach, and we need a national approach. The suburbs in Connecticut need to be part of this solution as well. So yes, indeed, we do need much more deeply affordable housing right now. And we need supports to go along with those, so that people who are in deeply affordable housing are working toward improving their overall well-being, whether it's their health, their mental health, or their financial situation, and in most cases, all three.
Right.
We also need to turn off the spigots. We've got new people coming into homelessness, so we need to crack down on the evictions. We need to keep people who are stably housed. We need to keep them housed. So we need to stop the influx of people coming into the system as well. But then, as the folks from UACT constantly remind us over and over again, the emergency is tonight. So we also need a stable shelter system that isn't fluctuating based on the seasons, so that so that people can, who do slip into homelessness, have that safety net. We don't close down the emergency room. Emergency room is open all of the time. And so should emergency beds be available always for people who slip into homelessness. That's not a solution, but we need that safety net there.
You're listening to thegreatgive.org, where you can go to support this important work, and specifically the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen and UAC. Here with Steve Werlin and Roosevelt Watkins, and the shortcut to the desk site is what, Steve?
It's deskct.org/greatgive.
So we're going to chat for a few more minutes, I believe. Is that right,
You
Harry?
can, because our 920 didn't show up, so you have
awesome.
time.
All right, great.
So I'm curious that you, in taking the long view, you talked about regional and national issues. Is there is anything like that happening in Hartford that like a sense of a kind of new humane state perspective on how to address all this?
Yes and no. Yes, it is happening. No, it's not happening fast enough. In this legislative session, we did not see enough money given to supporting the homelessness response system. So I am very concerned about what's going to happen next winter, whether or not we will have the funding available to just hold the line and have enough warming centers and shelters open in the coming winter. So we're not even doing a good enough job in this state ensuring that that safety net is there, let alone getting the deeply affordable housing we need or keeping people from coming into the system. So no, we are not doing a good enough job in Connecticut. Having said that, I know that it's on the agenda for some of our legislators, but it needs to be on the agenda for legislators who are representing districts outside cities as well.
Yeah. So Roosevelt, one of the things I've been curious about is the homeless population that you've gotten to know over time. Are they New Haven people, or are people coming into town from other areas? I guess we're thinking about the regional issues and the how to address the issue.
I think recently it's kind of changed. It used to be that word was out on the street, for lack of a better term, that New Haven had more services, so people came.
That's right.
Now I believe it's just more evictions, so people that once were residents now are residents of the Green now. So it's changed, I believe.
So do you know folks who are from the Hartford area, or from
Yes.
Greater New Haven? Yeah.
Recently, like this winter, because they didn't have warming centers and things in place there, and especially like Bridgeport, there was a shortage, so people came here.
Right.
So that was a thing at some of the warming centers, I was told, that people came for the services here.
Right.
But my thing is, the warming centers, even though we call them warming centers, they weren't. Because last summer, they stayed open all the year, but there was no decline in the people that seek the services. So that tells you that it's not just a seasonal problem.
Right. I'm curious about this issue that you raised, the evictions. It's funny, I think in my mind, and maybe I'm not alone in this, when you read about landlords raising the rent and people being evicted. In my mind, I guess because in my life I've been, more fortunate than others. If I have to leave one place, it's no fun, but you go find another. But that is not always the case for people.
No, it's not. And we saw during the pandemic how our government can respond to these crises. And I think we used the public health crisis to respond to a housing crisis and a financial crisis that probably was going to happen anyway. And then the pandemic ended, and we tried to go back to business as usual. But we can't do that. We really, really can't do that. We need to bring back some of these pandemic era supports and policies that can really be bringing us to a more humane and more ethical community. And evictions is a good place to start, and support for people who are facing eviction, and support for the small landlords as well, so that they can actually keep the people they keep their tenants in their housing. So.
So what's keeping this from happening? I mean, is it the absence of a kind of UACT that that's well funded and been around for 25 years? If this kind of advocacy by homeless people themselves is that going to make the difference? What's going to make the kind of what do they call it? The paradigm shift that you describe. What's going to make that happen?
It's going to happen in Hartford, and it's going to happen in Washington, but it starts in places like New Haven, where we have groups like UACT who are advocating. UACT exists because there is a need for UACT. There is a need for people to have their voices out there, because those who are in Hartford and those who are in DC really are not making the decisions that can benefit them.
All right. You are listening to The Great Give, and the greatgive.org is where you go. You're listening to it here on WNHH FM as we're launching our radiothon in our 8th or 9th year and the 15th year of The Great Give. If you want to support what you've heard from the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen, Steve Werlin, and UAC's Roosevelt Watkins, you can go to thegreatgive.org. And you can go to the desk site. What is that again, Steve?
deskct.org/greatgive.
And what my takeaway from this discussion is that support of this organization is not, it seems to me that it's support for the immediate challenges, the medical clinic that's being built, and all that. But this is an organization that's also involved through UACT and I know testimony and other means of lobbying. So Desk wants to make disappear the very reason for its being on some level.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to a day where we can really just be a community center, a place where people can come and just have a meal together and be developing that sense of connection and community. We are doing that, but we really are hyper-focused on just meeting basic needs right now. So I look forward to the day when we can be that more of a community center.
Well, thank you so much, Steve Werlin and Roosevelt Watkins, for starting us off on The Great Give on WNHH. And great good luck to you. And we'll hear more about this.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Great. You couldn't tell for a moment. That was great.
Welcome and thank you for coming back to thegreatgive.org at WNHH FM. We are moving along on this first day, this first morning. Yes, you're on Facebook and everything. And this is Alan Appel with the New Haven Independent. And Sitting across from me are our guests now, Christina McLean and Roshana Graham from Horizons at Foot. And FOOTE, this is a street and a school and a very, very old New Haven name. But is the organization Horizons at Foot also old, or is it new? And tell us what it is. And as you're speaking, tell us how people listening can support it.
So Horizons at Foot is about 10 years old. We started as Footbridge, and it was Foot School's way of having a public purpose. We service the students of New Haven Public School with enrichment and academic tutoring.
And how does that work, like on a day-to-day basis?
So we operate during the school year, just like having family events and also offering tutoring. But our biggest bulk of our program is in the summer, and it's for 6 weeks when Foot School is closed. We get to use the whole campus. And so we teach them reading, math, science, and then they also have enrichments like music, art, and most importantly, swimming. We teach swimming at Albertus Magnus. And so we just spend the day in the fun and in the sun.
So, Christina, who are the kids? Where do they come from? How old are they? What's the age range? What are the specifics?
So this summer we're going to have 173 kindergarten through 8th grade students, and they
Wow.
come from all New Haven public schools. I actually did the count the other day. It's 32 different schools are represented in our students, but primarily we get from Celentano, our neighbor across the street.
And how do you select the kids? And is there a tuition? Is there a fee, or is it all for free?
It's free. And so students apply through our online website.
Which is what, Roshana?
It is horizonsatfootschool.org.
Horizons at Foot School.
Horizonsatfoot.org.
Oh, sorry. Horizonsatfoot.org.
Horizons at foot.org. We got to get that right.
Yeah.
Okay, so 173 kids from New Haven schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being reminded that we ask for a song or a poem. I thought you might want to bring in one of the kids, but they're not here yet because they're in school.
They're in school.
All right. So this sounds like it's fun.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of fun. And we have our poem.
So recite the poem, and when you get done, I want to ask you about swimming, which you said most importantly. I want to ask why you said most importantly. But go on.
Okay. So this poem is from the book called Woke.
Called what?
Woke.
Woke.
And it's written by Mahogany L. Brown. It's called Instructions on Listening to the Trees. When you are a part of a community, you have to think about others. Think about the sun and how it smiles sweet authority. Think about the ecosystem and how the leaves dress the tree trunks, surviving from the kindness of the sun. Yes, the sun and the trees have a community all their own. Aren't we a part of the community too? Benefiting from the oxygen and water, it creates new life. The water is alive and it's gift giving. Think about how it feeds the roots. Like any true community, we must nourish and care for one another if we are to grow. So listen to the trees when the wind dances near, and listen to the neighbor's dog singing to the moon. The moon is high because of the water. How amazing. And this is when I remember home, the way my friends ring the doorbell to come outside to play, the way the cars slow down when a ball rolls in its way. The way we make jokes about the TV show and share our fears. The way we look up sadly when the streetlights are on. We are a part of someone else's journey. That's the way communities are built. Each root sprawling toward the edge of an infinite smile.
An infinite smile. That's quite wonderful. So, that the poem was read by Roshana Graham, the executive director of Horizons at Foot. Go to thegreatgive.org and when you're there, or go directly to the site, which is what again?
horizonsatfoot.org.
Right. And so here we are in the midst of the Great Give. You are fundraising for funding specifically to support the summer program.
We are. We have a budget.
$763,000.
Yes.
$763,000 for the summer program
For
And the
school year.
and the school year.
Hmm.
So, who are the tutors or the counselors? Foot students?
No, we actually have certified or classroom teachers who have come from independent schools who have worked for at least 2 years teaching and leading each class, along with an assistant teacher who could be a college student. We do have quite a few college students who come as assistant teachers. And so shout out to New Haven Promise because they supply us with some of our assistant teachers. And then we do also employ high school students to help us run our program. So 3 tiers.
And some of those are Foot School alum, and some of them are Horizons at Foot alum.
Oh, right. So Foot's partnership in this is basically to turn over the entire campus to
Yes.
to you and the kids and some of their graduates or students participating. So it sounds to me like you're mixing academics with fun, and so what's the deal? The kids have to pay attention and learn their calculus before they can do backstroke.
They have to learn how to love learning. That's what we do at
How to
at
love
Horizons.
learning. So
Yeah.
so if anybody wants to support love of learning out there, and who could not, you go to thegreatgive.org and specifically to dial up Horizons at Foot. Christina, what's that?
Horizonsatfoot.org.
And contribute towards the $763,000 annual budget. So how many kids? You must have reached a lot of kids, hundreds of kids every summer.
So the cool thing about our program is that our students stay with us for 9 years. So when they start in kindergarten, they're with us until they graduate high school.
Nobody there is new except those who take the place of the graduates?
We do have some families that move away, and so we will fill those spots. But otherwise, our students stay with us during the summer. They stay until 8th grade. But then we also have programming for our high school students. And so our first graduating class will graduate from high school next year.
Spring 2025.
Oh,
I'm
that's
planning
right.
a big party.
Oh, spring. That's right. See, if they've been with you for 10 years, that's right. They'll be. Wow. So what's that party going to look like? You can have a lot of pictures to show, I imagine.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
We're hoping for something really cool.
Well, you have such a nice smile when you talk about love of learning. So, that's a wonderful phrase, but it's a mysterious achievement.
Yes.
How do you go about making sure that kind of thing obtains on a day-to-day basis in the program?
So we do a lot of hands-on projects. So the students are learning from their own. They're not just sitting in a seat and listening to a teacher. They're actually doing. So something that we did last summer, the students grew plants. They grew their little plants. They learned about seeds. They learned how they grow. They learned what the seeds needed. They put in the water. They put it out in the sun and grew their plants. And so instead of just looking at it in a picture, you get to experience it. And once you experience learning, that's when you become a lover of it. You have to just be in the mix of it. Anything that you learn that's hands-on becomes something that you love.
Were they growing just flowers, or were they growing vegetables?
I think they just grew flowers this time. We do a bunch of different things. So that's just one thing. That was a science class, but they also learn how to sew. They make like little pencil pouches. They've learned.
And what do we teach you in sewing, besides the pleasure of the manual activity?
There's actually a lot of math involved in
There you
sewing
go.
and quilting. Measuring, measure 1 Measure twice, cut once. There's a lot of like artistic.
Measure twice,
and-
cut once.
Yeah, measure twice, cut once.
Gosh, that would apply to a lot of activities in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of creativity and matching patterns and colors. Yeah, it's a good activity.
So, what's the feedback from the kids? It sounds. Did the kids say that learning math in regular school during the year is not as much fun, or is that the goal is to be experiential, and through experiential learning, there's more pleasure in learning? I guess is that the take?
Yes. And I think that when kids go back to school, whether they're learning the traditional way or hands-on, they're able to see that there's a benefit to what they're doing. And I think that's what's most important to us when we have our kids on campus. Like, am I just learning this because the teacher is telling me to, or am I going to use this in the real world? And so we, in the summer, give them something to look forward to when they're going into their classes. And maybe they are taught in a traditional way, but they're still able to see the benefit in what they're doing.
When you say you give them something to look forward to when they finish up the summer, you mean they take their experience of learning math in the kind of more fun way? Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm remembering when I was in the 6th or 7th grade in California. I'm old enough to have been required in the 6th grade to take one semester of agriculture and one semester of what they call it, reading blueprints and drawings. So I think they wanted to see who would be interested in being a farmer and who would be interested in being an engineer. I bailed out on the engineering, but I grew 2 rows of radishes.
See?
And I ate them at the end of the semester, and that experience has stayed with me all these years. And in a couple of weeks I'm going to put in tomatoes because I always want to be around stuff that's growing.
So did you grow a love of learning?
Well, actually what I grew was a love of, I became a writer, but I was obsessed for a long period of time as a writer by the thought that I could not write about a plant or a flower, which of course you have to put in your poetry when you're starting to write, but I had to know the name of every flower that I put into the work. So is that love of learning or like a weird obsession? Well, maybe a little of each.
I mean, there's always a thin line.
We're talking with Roshana Graham, the executive director of Horizons at Foot. And they're talking about especially the year-round program, but also this wonderful summer camp. Love of learning is the centerpiece. If you want to support that, go to thegreatgive.org, and the website is what, Christina?
Horizonsatfoot.org. And that's foot with an E at the end.
Foot with an E at the end. Does anybody know who the original Foot was? There's a Foot Street. There's a Foot School.
For Foot School, I believe that was Martha Babcock Foot.
Martha Babcock.
The first head of school.
And how far back does that go in New Haven history?
About 100 years.
Martha Babcock Foot. And Babcock is a famous name in New Haven. Babcock was the man that Abraham Lincoln appointed to be the collector of customs and taxes in the New Haven port. Oh, no. Yes, no, he appointed him after Babcock, who was a lawyer and I think a newspaper publisher, invited Lincoln to come to New Haven in 1860. And maybe that's the family that Foot became part of, or Babcock became part of Foot. I love this. Something in New Haven, something new is always being built on the shoulders of something old. It's one of the pleasures of New Haven.
So
Roshana already read the poem, a beautiful poem, yeah. So do we have a little bit more time, or Harry?
You got about 3 minutes.
Swimming.
Christina?
Swimming, yes. We wanna talk
Swimming.
about
Why?
Swimming.
Swimming, most important is how big a role is swimming at nearby Albertus in the life of the summer camp?
It is the second half of our camp. So swimming is super important. And Christina, I know you have the stats on swimming.
Oh, you want the sad stats?
the sad stats.
So 65% of children in Connecticut who drowned were Black or Hispanic.
And so our job at Horizons is to make sure that we teach that life-saving skill. And we go to Albertus. We swim for about 90 minutes every week, every single student. And then they come out and they become lifeguards. We have some swimmers who play polo. And just recently, we gathered a bunch of swimmers on stage and we talked about just how beneficial it's to swim. And we had Olympian Colin Jones join us to talk about just how beneficial swimming is. So swimming is big for us. We want to make sure that our students know how to swim and they also can use it as a life-saving skill. They can use it to earn money. They can use it for sport.
And for confidence. I was very happy that Kehlani Boya, one of our graduates, joined us at the event and was one of our keynote speakers talking about how she's on her high school swim team now because of her time at Horizons. I may have cried a little bit during her speech.
Just a little.
Just a little.
That's right. Yeah, a large number of African American kids in New Haven, I guess everywhere, don't have the opportunities as other folks might do to hang out at the suburban pool and learn to swim. It's very true.
And swimming actually costs a lot. To be able to afford to swim is definitely a luxury.
And Foot doesn't have its own pool. I assume Foot has a pool, but obviously not.
No, they don't. And that's why we use Albertus's pool,
Yeah.
which is about 4 minutes away.
Yeah, and Albertus's pool is wonderful. So thank you very much, Roshana Graham and Christina McLean with Horizons at Foot. Go to thegreatgive.org and support love of learning and swimming through life with all those lessons.
Our next person isn't here yet, so if you got anything else to add in the
Dodie
next 2 minutes.
You can
is reminding us to talk about nutrition and feeding our students.
Well, okay. We have swimming, we have love of learning, and now food.
Well, feeding the students is important. So
I just want to give a shout out to our board members because as Dodie's texting you, Francie, our board chair, is texting me. So I'm guessing that they're listening. Hi.
Hi, everyone. You're wonderful. We love you.
So nutrition, we partner with Yale Hospitality to bring nutritious and fun meals to our students. We feed them breakfast, lunch, and a snack. And so with Yale Hospitality, they make sure that we have the right portions of protein and carbs and green leafy vegetables, but they also give us a chance to explore different menu options that the students might not have experienced before because we're all about experiential learning.
For example, what strange foods do you force the children to eat?
Well, last summer we forced them to eat chicken tikka marsala.
An Indian staple.
Yeah, it was delicious, but the adults loved it and the kids were like, could we have chicken nuggets? And then this year we're gonna try, and I'm probably gonna mess up the name, but we're gonna try banh mi sandwiches. So
Don't know what that is. Can you spell it?
BAHNMI.
Okay.
And so I believe I know it's Asian fare, but I'm not sure if it's Thai or
I should know this because I eat
Vietnamese?
one all the time.
Well, could you explain it?
Atticus.
Because it would be an experience for me also.
So the
I've
one
never
I get
had
at Atticus is like tofu and carrots. It's very good. And mint and yeah. We're getting a wrap-up signal.
Gotcha.
Well, this is great. So give me 30 seconds as we conclude talking here with Horizons at Foot. Roshana, how did you get involved? Are you a Foot graduate? How did you get involved in this?
Funny enough, I started working at the Horizons at New Canaan as a teacher, a fourth grade teacher. And I grew through the ranks. And then eventually I was talking with the executive director down there and I'm like, Nancy, you got to get me in there. And I want to work for Horizons full time, leave the classroom. And she found this experience for me. And so now I'm the executive director of my own Horizons.
I love it. Thank you, Rashana Graham, Executive Director of Horizons at Foot, and Christina McLean for joining us on thegreatgive.org, where you can go, or directly, you can go online to
Horizonsatfoot.org and foot with an E.
and donate to experiential learning, love of learning, swimming, and strange new foods given to our New Haven kids. Thank you very much. A pleasure, and stay in touch with us.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. And you're listening to the Great Give Radiothon on WNHH. As you heard, we're helping nonprofits throughout our community. And I'll be back in a second. This is Alan Appel, staff writer with The Independent. Back in a second with our third nonprofit of the Great Give Morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Great Give Radiothon here on WNHH FM. Our pleasure to host the Radiothon, our 8th year or so, and 15 years of the Great Give. And my guest across the desk from me is Mary Guerrera, the executive director of the wonderful Fellowship Place over on, what street are we?
Elm Street.
Elm Street, at the clubhouse there, the wonderful clubhouse. So, Mary, tell us a little. Tell us Fellowship Place's mission, how long you folks have been there, which is decades, and then you're gonna not sing a song but recite.
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here today. Fellowship Place works with adults who are living with a mental illness or a co-occurring substance abuse disorder and a mental illness. And we provide all of the services and supports that they need to have a full and productive life. So we're really more than just a clubhouse. You referred to our clubhouse, which is our premier social rehab center. But we also offer permanent supported housing, which is deeply affordable. We have a drop-in program for the homeless, which is open 7 days a week and addresses their basic needs. We also have job training, employment programs, and education programs that help people who are ready to return to the competitive marketplace accomplish that. The Clubhouse program that you refer to is open 7 days a week, and it provides a really wide variety of opportunities for people to build their skills, connect with peers, structure their day, which is really important for people with mental illness. So we really are a one-stop shop where people can come and get a variety of supports to have a better life.
Right, and I remember in my capacity as a reporter with the Independent covering variety shows that some of the folks put on, and art exhibitions that have been done over the years. Also, speaking of which, your performance piece, tell us the name of it and why you chose it.
So I can't sing or dance. But
She's
did,
only the executive director of a wonderful organization called Fellowship Place, which we're talking about.
But I did want to share the lyrics from a Bruce Springsteen song, which I know everyone will be familiar with, which reflects a lot about Fellowship Place's mission, but also some of the challenges that we're facing today. So here we go. Everybody needs a place to rest. Everybody wants to have a home. Don't make no difference what nobody says. Ain't nobody like to be alone. I chose this because one of the biggest challenges that we have seen at Fellowship Place over the last couple of years is the ever increasing number of homeless people that are coming to the agency every day for basic needs. And many of the homeless people that we see are not in shelter. They have untreated mental illness. They are struggling with substance abuse. Many of them are elderly. We have seen so far this year over 100 people over the age of 60 who are unsheltered, who are struggling not only perhaps with substance abuse or mental health problems, but also have mobility impairments and other physical problems that really make their situations pretty serious.
So how do you understand where this influx is coming from?
I think we've seen the increase since COVID. Many people lost their housing during COVID. And because there is such a shortage of deeply affordable housing, once people lose their housing, it's very, very difficult for them to find anything else. The other big issue is untreated mental illness and substance use. I would say at least half of the people that we see on a daily basis who are homeless have untreated mental illness and are struggling with substances.
You're listening to Mary Guerrero from Fellowship Place talk about the serious work that they doing in increasing new challenges. If you want to support this wonderful organization, and I can attest to it, having covered many of their events and having been at the clubhouse, it's a place that feels very comfortable sometimes in a world where someone struggling with mental illness can feel extremely alienated from. It really is an oasis out there.
And that's what we're providing for the homeless. People that don't have shelter and who are staying outside. They need a place where they can come and feel safe, be inside when it's cold, be inside when it's too hot, or really healthy to be not healthy to be outside with high temperatures. And we are providing showers, meals, laundry facilities, hygiene products, and an opportunity to sit down and talk with a counselor about other services that they may be able to access, whether it be how to get into a shelter, how to get on a waiting list for housing, how to maybe look for a job. We probably so far this fiscal year, our fiscal year begins on July 1 and ends on June 30th. So we're just a couple of months away from the end of the year, but we've probably worked with close to 800 homeless people this year. This is a big change for Fellowship Place. Our homeless program used to be the smallest program on campus, and it is now the largest. And we're really trying to raise funds to help us keep up with the cost of food. We're serving so many more meals because there's such a higher demand from the homeless folks that our food budget is way over budget. And we are hoping that we can raise money through the Great Give to continue providing meals 7 days a week for this group of folks.
How much has the budget changed from, let's say, the food budget was more or less what pre-pandemic, and what is it now?
So pre-pandemic, we were probably serving around 25,000 meals a year. This year, it looks like we're going to be serving about 60,000 meals a year.
Wow.
And at last check, which I believe was, I haven't seen the April numbers yet, but as of March 31st, our food budget was about $35,000 over what we had projected we would need for the whole year.
Well, without food, without sustenance, you can't stay alive to solve your other problems. So that's pretty basic. So do go to thegreatgive.org here on WNH-FM, and or directly to the website of Fellowship Place, which is what, Mary?
www.fellowshipplace.org.
So the funds you're trying to raise through the Great Give would go specifically for this aspect of the work, or for general operations?
It would be general operations, but because we're over budget on the food line, I think that we'll be allocating a great deal of the money to that expense, so that we can narrow down that gap in funding.
I'm curious how you go about dealing with such a huge influx of people. I know your campus has grown over the years. In addition to the clubhouse, there are various buildings nearby. It really is a wonderful little campus that I think many New Haveners don't know about. I always thought when I went there that it felt like a tiny college. Town.
You're absolutely right.
Tell us about those buildings and what goes on there.
Yeah, so we've been very, very fortunate. Since 2007, we have renovated the entire campus. So all of the buildings are clean, modern, spacious, and just create a wonderful environment for people that are coming to us for services. So the biggest building is the one facing Elm Street, and that building includes the clubhouse or the social rehab center, our employment and education offices, and then we have another building that is exclusively for, well, actually, it has two purposes. There's a computer learning center there.
Right, I
We do
remember.
a lot of computer literacy classes and help our clients use the computers to apply for jobs and apply for benefits and so forth. And then we also have our housing office in that building. Then there's another building which includes CREST, which is a day reporting program for individuals that have been referred through the criminal justice system who have a mental illness, but they are better served not in jail, but through our programs. And then that building also houses the homeless drop-in program.
This is really, in my estimation, Fellowship Place, one of the pillars of this social service network in New Haven that keeps our city going, and it's all done in such a way, as I said, that feels like it's an oasis there. But there is a lot of Sturm and Drang in the lives of the individuals who come. So as we close, what's the one takeaway you would like to leave people with about the work you do and it's also.
Well, I think you've touched on it. I think one of the things that sets Fellowship Place apart is that we really do try to provide a community for people that feel disenchanted and, have had a lot of challenges in their life. We really try to help people build social connections. We think peer support is very, very important to helping people get on a track for recovery and a better life. And I think the other thing that sets us apart is that in one location, people who are struggling with either mental illness or substance use can access a variety of different services. So if they just want to come and hang out at the clubhouse and have a meal with friends, they can do that.
Right.
If they want to get involved in art or other therapeutic programs, they can do that. If they want to learn how to cook, they can join a cooking class. If they want to learn how to use the computer, they can do that. And if they are ready to go to work, we can help them find jobs. Or as in the case of the homeless, if they just really need help with basic needs, a place to come in off the streets during the day when other services are not available to them, we're there for them.
Mary, thank you very much for coming here on The Great Give. Go to thegreatgive.org and dial up Fellowship Place. This is an organization that it supports the fundraising you're doing is supporting not just the services needed for a huge influx of homeless people, but also the kind of ongoing human connection that's pretty basic to everything else. So thank you so much. Good luck to you, and stay in touch.
Thanks so much.
Okay. You're listening to The Great Give on the WNHH, our radiothon in support of The Great Give. I'll be back in just a moment with the next wonderful nonprofit in New Haven. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Great Give Radiothon here on WNHH. And as you've heard this morning, if you've been listening, we're helping the nonprofits throughout our community raise money to continue doing work that makes a difference. And to donate to the organizations, you can go in general to thegreatgive.org. That's the with a THE. And you can support even this radio station and the New Haven Independent. You can keep us humming along, and if you go to the website of the New Haven Independent. However, our wonderful guests this morning from our next nonprofit are Kevin Poland, the executive director, and Libby Protzman, the director of communications at Winning Ways. Welcome, Kevin and Libby.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And
Yes,
so give us, as we say in the journalism business, give us the lead, what the organization is, what its mission is, when it was established, and then as we require of everybody, you have to perform a poem or read a song. I think it'll be wonderful. But first, tell us about Winning Ways.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. Truly appreciate it. Winning Ways started back in 2016 right here in New Haven. It was three good friends got together and realized that the standard for success, specifically in human services, we felt like was low. So what we wanted to do was raise that bar and create a culture of winning where people who's been through trauma, specifically financial trauma, poverty, homelessness, incarceration, substance abuse, you name it, can take those obstacles and take those life situations, those hurdles, and turn them into opportunities. So we look to make transformations in people's lives and support them through all that. We're a 501c3. We've served over 100 people through our financial literacy courses, our Winning Circle series, which includes financial literacy, a new and an innovative program called Spit and Paint, which is a DEI influenced art program where we highlight Black and brown historical figures. Mm-hmm. And then we have a career readiness program called Elevate Your Employment, where we help people create a career map, a career roadmap to identify their passions and to find careers that reflect their passions to create retention and ultimately create happiness with the work you do.
How interesting. I want to ask a lot of questions about what you just said, but first, tell us about the song or the poem that you're going to give us that reflects, I guess, the kind of values you were just talking about. Yeah,
so I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Stephen P. Campbell. Stephen P. Campbell wrote an incredible book called SEA Through Emotions, Poetry from a Mental Prison. Stephen is from Hartford, Connecticut, and he was incarcerated, and he wrote a lot of these poems during his incarceration. And when he came home, he graduated with honors from college, and he's done and doing amazing things. So me not being a poet, I wanted to take an excerpt out of his book, and he has a poem that I love to read often, which is called Cause and Effect. I said it's a mile-high climb to the top. The key is don't stop. You got to expect setbacks and disappointments. So those are just everyday events in life. We'll just call those occurrences. So when they occur, gather your breath, control your thoughts, and keep moving forward. Don't be shocked or surprised because now everything you are made of is on the line. Are you going to tap into your responsibility to allow your resiliency to move you to continue to make strides in the face of adversity and unexpectancy so you can effectively take aim at your goals and bounce back twice as high? You just got to remember, it's all on you to reach up to the sky.
I see what you mean. That really is like the writer talking to himself almost, as well as talking to the reader, right, about attitude.
Right. Yeah. During when you have the mindset of turning poison into medicine, turning obstacles into opportunities, that's the Winning Ways culture, because we don't believe in losses. We believe in wins and lessons. So if something doesn't happen the way that you plan it, how can you learn from that? How can you grow from that? And how can you be a better you? And that's what we preach. That's what we teach through all our programs is your obstacles or mistakes in the past don't define you. What defines you is what you do with those moments, and how do you transform them into something positive where you can create change for not only yourself, but for the people around you.
So does Winning Ways offer kind of one-on-one counseling about this, or is it more involving your clients in group experiences, or both?
Both. Historically, we've been doing groups, so we do financial literacy classes within different facilities. We meet people where they're at. So we go inside of halfway houses with Project More, Emerge CT, Columbus House, Liberty, Community Services, just to name a few. But now we've been just blessed to partner with Yale School of Psychiatry, as well as Connecticut Association of Human Services, where just yesterday we had a press conference on the New Haven Green, where we're going to be launching our financial counseling program, where we're going to be doing one-on-ones with individuals that's returning home from incarceration to the city of New Haven, just to provide guidance for them as they, transition into the community, specifically with financial institutions, interacting with them, getting them connected to life insurance, things that they never thought of or never been exposed to. We're just looking to expose them to those new ventures and give them that one-on-one experience to support them and let them know that, we're there for them.
So, Libby, is there bricks and mortar, or does the organization go to where the clients are in wherever they're living, or how do the two come together?
We are a very grassroots model, and we do this because oftentimes just getting transportation to the facility to participate in a program can be an impediment. Mm-hmm. So we offer a very grassroots model where we take all of our equipment, our instructors, and all the resources and supplies needed to be successful. We go into the facility and bring the program right to the participants. To
a halfway house, or to supportive living circumstance, whatever.
Absolutely. We've even worked with schools. We've partnered with several schools within the New Haven Board of Education system to provide this program to parents and students. So that we do have a small brick and mortar on the shoreline, but because we're statewide, and also because we know that transportation is a major barrier. Many times folks are coming out of incarceration, coming out of rehabilitation facilities with nothing in their pockets. So we are removing the barrier, and we are giving this as an opportunity to people right where they're at. And oftentimes people feel most comfortable in their own home. So if your home is a halfway house, we'll meet you there.
And if you're living in an apartment, whatever, if you're part of a program, that program calls in Winning Ways, and you would visit people in their first apartment out of incarceration, something like that would be possible also?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So if you would like to support Winning Ways, the best way to do it, well, you could go to thegreatgive.org and look for Winning Ways, or directly the website would be what?
winningwaysct.org.
And the funds you're trying to raise, are they for your general operations or for a specific aspect of the work Winning Ways is doing?
The funds will go to support both.
Okay.
They're going to support directly to our programs. We are mostly privately funded. We receive funding from private organizations, foundations. We have just started to receive a little bit of state funding. But we like to reward our staff appropriately. Our staff are employees, but they're human service workers, and they're out there doing the work. So it will go towards capacity to reward our staff so that they can get an honorable, honest wage.
Sure. So it sounds to me, my takeaway, I'm listening to you, is that you're an organization that is called upon by other organizations to come in and to help with a lot of the issues at post-incarceration. Most of the clients are post-incarceration?
Yeah, that's where we started, is in the reentry field, post-incarceration, but we have expanded to at-risk youth, to also individuals on journey of recovery, substance abuse. So we have expanded, but our meat and potatoes is reentry.
And you've talked a lot about your financial literacy. Is that sort of the the first offering that you come in with, and you build on that? Is that the core of Winning Ways? But I ask, but what you talked about initially, Kevin, is attitude change.
Yes.
How do you deal with attitude change in the context of financial literacy?
Well, that's a great question. We know that it's more than just numbers and budgeting and banks, right? We understand that, one, it goes historical, addressing things that happen, systematic oppression, systematic racism, redlining, addressing those so we can know what the barriers were and are, right? And then going back to that winning attitude, transforming the mind, because what happens is with financial literacy, we're experiencing that everyone that goes through our class has experienced or is experiencing financial trauma. So with that financial trauma, we're not therapists in the terms of that regard, but we do want to set a foundation of healing and to take away that guilt and shame, to understand that some of these things are based off where you grew up or based off the color of your skin. So then when you're able to understand that, you can have that empathy for yourself to then move forward, to take those past decisions, not let them hold you back, and make new decisions with a new mindset.
And those kinds of conversations that you described are woven into conversations about financial literacy.
Correct.
Well, that's a unique offering that Winning Ways is contributing to New Haven and to a population very much in need of those services. You could go to thegreatgive.org to support the group, or directly, again, Libby, what's the site?
It's winningwaysct.org.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And we want to hear more about what you're doing in the months and years ahead. So stay in touch with us at the New Haven Independent.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited.
Well, our pleasure. It's very important work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
What's the name of it? It's okay. When I ask you, you'll tell me what it is. Think about it. Or Welcome back to thegreatgive.org as presented on our radiothon here on WNHH. And we're helping nonprofits, as you know, from throughout our community to raise funds. And one of the busiest nonprofits in New Haven is Youth Continuum. And it's my pleasure to welcome Nadia Gaskin, who was associated with the Great Give, and Tim McGuire, the executive director. Welcome. So tell us, in 2 sentences, what Youth Continuum is about, the important niche it fills in New Haven, and then you'll give us some work of art. I believe it's going to be a poem by Nadia that reflects the values of Youth Continuum.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for having us. So Youth Continuum is around for almost 60 years. We serve young people aged 12 to 24 who've hit a variety of bumps, barriers in life on their path to independence. They may have led to child welfare, homelessness, victims of human trafficking, unfortunately. And so we provide a variety of services from outreach, case management, basic needs, wraparound services, and housing programs to get them back on a path to self-sufficiency and independence. We really try to teach young people how to be a good tenant and a good neighbor. And recognize that their path's not cookie cutter. It's going to be very unique and kind of customized and a client-centered focus. That's who we are. Like you said, an important niche we fill that we solely focus on young people in New Haven and the greater area.
And young people at 12 to 24.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting. 12 strikes me as quite young. 24 is quite old, but you know why you're doing that.
Yeah.
So Nadia Gaskin, you've written something, and it was untitled, but now it has a title.
Yeah, that's how most of my poetry goes. I did write a poem that I performed last year.
Where did you perform it?
I performed it at Brave New Voices. It's a national poetry competition. I am Connecticut's 2023 Youth Grand Slam champion, so that was something that I wrote when I was in California. And I saw a huge homelessness problem. So it definitely hit home because, as I said before, I am a former client of Youth Continuum, and they provided me with so many services, and I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity.
Youth Continuum.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you associated with it now? Are you out on your own?
I'm definitely on my own now, thanks to them. They definitely gave me, like I said before, a variety of services that was able to help me. And, like Tim said, be a good tenant and be a good neighbor. And just be an all-around good person. I'm still associated with them. I still reach out and, see if there's anything that I can do to help.
We want to tap her to be a Youth Action Board leader soon. That's the goal.
The goal is what? I'm sorry?
To lead our Youth Action Board, possibly, which we have in our agency, which is young people who've experienced homelessness that kind of advocate for their peers for basic needs and such, and kind of just be a peer support for those who've been through the similar situations. So we're hoping we can tap Nadia to stick around and do that with us.
The Youth Action Board.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a bit more about the Youth Action Board. But first, Nadia, you've got a lot of kudos and laurels from your poetry. So let's hear it.
Okay. Home. The 203 seems small compared to the 415, but as small as home seems, I feel privileged to have a place to call mine. See, here in the 415, dirty mattresses and sleeping bags litter every corner. People holding their paper cups, begging for your scraps, dollar bills, and a quarter. You see, I was there once. I might not have slept on a corner, but I did have to wonder where my next meal would come from. We're similar. Them and I, even 3 time zones away, our stories seem to align. If I told you I was homeless twice before the age of 20, that I hopped from shelter to shelter, I'm betting you wouldn't believe me. You would take one look at me with my freshly washed jeans, you would brush me off and dismiss me. We have seemed to have got it confused, so let me set the tone. Sometimes homelessness can look like having the newest iPhone. The view is stunning from my hotel room. 2 different cities, from those at the top of the food chain to those in their makeshift bedrooms. Seeing those laying their dirty heads on mattresses was really breathtaking, and by breathtaking, not the best kind. The kind that makes your eyes water and your soul begin to cry. So when you feel superior from your room on the 11th floor of the Hilton, fixing your capitalist crown, the next time you need to be humbled, I dare you to just look down.
I love the way it ends with that kind of aerial view.
Yeah.
The appeal to see the whole picture in a way that and the way you begin with those telephone codes.
The area codes between Connecticut and California.
405. Now, what's 405? L.A.
The 415. Yeah, it's San Francisco.
It's
California.
San Francisco.
Yep.
I'm an old English teacher, and that's very good.
Thank you.
That's very good. Thank you very much. So Tim, Nadia, to serve on the youth board. What's the youth board of Youth Continuum? And tell us a little bit as you answer that question about the physical presence in New Haven that Youth Continuum has, because there's an office or a facility on
Grand Avenue.
Yeah. Right, and then you are or have been associated or with St. PJ's on Olive Street. Yes, no.
Loosely, yeah. So yes, 924 Grand Avenue is our drop-in center.
924 Grand.
Yeah, currently under construction. So we are renovating the entire thing, gutting the building from the basement to the main floor, adding a second floor, which will house our overnight crisis center, which is shelter basically for 18 to 24-year-olds. Right. It's been a long time project. We're excited to say that by early summer, shovels should be in the ground to get this state-of-the-art facility back up and running, to let young people back in. Where our drop-in center team, our outreach team, our trafficking team all work together to do, walk-in assessments, serve basic needs, just be a place to hang out, do some recreational, social, emotional, everything young people are looking for, kind of in a one-stop shop. We've been on Grand Avenue for close to 20 years. So having the site shut down for almost 3 or more years now is not ideal. We're across the road still, fully operational at 943 Grand Avenue right now. Still seeing young people walk in, serving them right on the street, on the ground. But that's one of our presences. We have other facilities across town, shelters, housing programs, long and short term.
Really, where are they? Are they part of other? Are they tucked away with less visible?
Not really. We rent a large complex from a local landlord on Winthrop Avenue, 12 units. It's all housing programs. We own a facility in Valley Street. That's our right now currently crisis housing over there. Oh. And then we own a building on Winchester by Albertus Magnus, which is non-time limited housing for 7 young people. So then a variety of 40 or more scattered site apartments also across the state.
40 scattered site apartments.
Yeah, we case manage and pay rental assistance for.
And how long do the young people stay in the transitional apartment?
Again, no prescription, right? And so some may need just a couple months to kind of get the income they already have up and good to go to move on. Some take more time. Some come in and they don't have the income yet, the degree, the work experience. We're kind of building from the ground and moving up. Right. Again, in a very wraparound, not cookie cutter way. So some may stay 12, 18, 21 months, 24 months possibly. We pride ourselves that we can, if one thing's not working, we could shift a little bit. If we didn't finish the full goals in one program, we can move to the next program, possibly catching people where they kind of can fall through the cracks possibly. And many young people have come back and said, hey, I should have listened the first time. Can I try it again? And the door is always open.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah. And the youth board, you were going to talk about the youth board.
Yeah, so we many years ago started a youth action board. They've been in the community. It's again peer-to-peer, partnering with some local students as well through Yale and the Y2Y network. They've advocated. One big project was advocating for washers and dryers in local New Haven schools. Because as Nadia mentioned, homeless twice before 20. So you're talking the high school years, right? We had one young person who evaded, noticing they were homeless for years and years through high school, navigating the corridors and avoiding school officials. And she became a huge advocate to say, I was showering in the locker room. So we also need washer and dryers. It's a real problem,
Did that work? There are a couple of schools that have
that. Yeah, it did work a few years ago. Yeah, so they've done projects like that.
And that was the Youth Continuum Youth Board.
Youth Action Board. Yeah.
Doesn't the Fairhaven School have the one of the washer dryer?
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, we're trying to redo the Action Board. We need leadership. It's a great group because they become, again, informal peer-to-peer support of success stories and challenges people face daily, So
important. You're listening to Tim McGuire, the Executive Director of Youth Continuum. If you want to support this really critical work, working with young people when they're young and have all the inherent optimism of youth, and they could make decisions early on to truly change long lives. You should go to thegreatgive.org and look for Youth Continuum, or directly, what's the site again?
Youthcontinuum.org. Right on the website, there's a pop-up right there, and you get there. It'll take you right to the Great Give donation page. If I can make a plug, we are right now until 11 o'clock. There's a special prize being awarded housing programs for the most unique donors. So if you can give now to Youth Continuum, we're in additional money from the Jewish Federation right now until 11 o'clock.
Well, that sounds good. Right, right now you're on notice. So we have only 1 minute left. Nadia, how did you hear about Youth Continuum? What brought you there? Was it word of mouth from other people, or something you read, or?
I had a really good friend from the church that knew my situation. Oh, sorry. I had a really good friend from the church that knew my situation, and she put me in contact with one of the representatives at Youth Continuum, and I was in their crisis housing program, and then I moved over to their transitional living program, and eventually I was able to get on my own. So yeah, it was definitely through word of mouth, but also like knowing who you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, so much of what we do in life is about human connection, and I'm sure that's a very big part of the counseling, and then the mentoring, and who is connecting with you,
especially young people. The peer-to-peer, the word of mouth, that you can trust the location. The drop-in center, we say, you can always come one time and sign up for nothing. Just come in, get your basic needs, a hot meal, diapers for your child, food, and if you decide you want to roll in a program, we can get the intake done.
Thank you so much, Tim McGuire and Nadia Gaskin from Youth Continuum. Support this important organization at The Great Give. A pleasure talking to you both. And Nadia, good luck on a literary career.
Thank you.
That's good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Welcome back to the Great Give Radiothon on WNH-FM. As you know, we're helping nonprofits from throughout our community raise money to continue doing work that makes a difference. And one of the organizations that is making a big difference and has providing pleasure and uplift and strange occurrences around New Haven is a Broken Umbrella theater company. And we have Ruben Ortiz, the artistic director. Ruben, you're going to perform something, and you're going to tell us how it is in connection with an important telethon tonight on Facebook.
Of course, sure. So it's a little something for everyone out there. Just a little taste, as we say. I've been alone with you inside my mind, and in my dreams you've passed my shop 1,000 times. I sometimes wish you'd walk into my store. Hello, is it a Beats you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile. It's just the slice you wanted, and my oven's open wide. And you know just what to say, and I know just what to do. But let me start by saying, I got you. In 30 minutes or less. Hello, the pizza delivery man version.
There you go. Now, this is going to be part of what activity? Tell us about this tonight, right?
Yes. So, a Broken Umbrella Theater with our special guest, the Moose Piano Lounge, will be performing a live telethon on Facebook Live beginning at 7:30 tonight. Our goal for the event is to raise funds for our upcoming show, which is being performed in conjunction with the Festival of Arts and Ideas, which we're labeling it a slice. So essentially, we create shows based and inspired by the history of New Haven. And what more of a history item of New Haven can you think about than a Beats, a.k.a. pizza?
So can you give us a preview of what is the show a review, or is it a traditional play? How is it going to play out?
So, which show are you talking about? The one we're performing tonight, or the show that we're performing in June?
Well, the one tonight sounds to me like it's a bit of a mashup and a review.
It's a great mashup and review. So not only will we have some notable comedic news anchors, we'll also have live music, wonderful singers, puppetry, and dancing pizza delivery men as well.
And this is going to carry over on some level, some of this material perhaps into the June of next production of A Broken Umbrella. That you're headquartered in Westville, right?
We are headquartered in Westville. Our space is located on 1448 Blake Street.
That wonderful, funny old building.
Yeah, we have a two garage space which we do open up during the summer and perform live improv comedy, which we'll be doing all summer long for our summer series. And actually, our first Regicides comedy performance will be on May 7th during Art Walk. So we're kicking off Art Walk this week. But
so for the very few people in our audience who don't understand the humor of Regicides, would you explain the deep background of New Haven that reflects?
Yeah, well, the Regicides essentially are three of the judges that sentenced King Charles I to death, and they hid in the hills of New Haven, Whaley, Goff, and Dixwell, which you may know them. But yeah, that's the improv comedy troupe, and we do have a lot of comedy, especially tonight for this live telethon, which we'll be asking all of our wonderful folks here in our community to donate, and all these funds and proceeds will help us create our next upcoming show. Again, A Slice, which is ideally it's a multi-generational exploration of family, immigration, and assimilation, and what kind of happens with that. So we're kind of exploring pizza and family in New Haven. So this telethon, this fun bit of craziness, insanity, Sesame Street, news, fun, music variety show that we're doing tonight live is there to sponsor the work that we're doing in conjunction with the Festival of Arts and Ideas.
But you don't have to wait till tonight. You could go to Ruben, what's the website to go directly to support Broken Umbrella?
Go to www.abrokenumbrella.org and donate. Give us a slice. Heck, give us a whole pie. We're looking. We need a lot of funds. Just so you know, we are, again, a not-for-profit company. We are working professionals that have daytime jobs, and we do this for fun. We do our best to offer our performer stipends, and we do, however, offer babysitting. So some of this helps, again, for the development of our shows, for the support of our actors, and so the actors can come perform for us. This will help kind of help their families as well.
So when people who are listening are want to give, if they want to, should they give large, medium, or small?
I'd say go big, and if you can't go big, get a lot of friends and have them donate a lot of money. Like we say, you know, we're trying for $20,000. So, you know, if 200 people give us $100, that's good. You know, and if 1,000 people give us $20, that's great as well. So
the 20,000 is the goal, just for general operating support, or to help create this specific production.
It is for operating support and for this specific production. So this is just, again, we're just offering a slice of this show in June, and which will lead. We'll be following talkback. So this performance in June will be performed at Next Door on Humphrey Street, amazing pizza spot, and Doug there has been gracious enough to let us use his space. So we do site-specific work. And we'll have pizza, we'll have a performance, and we'll also have talkbacks.
Oh, so the performance will not be at the Broken Umbrella building?
That is correct. Our performance this summer in June will be at Next Door. Yes.
At Next Door, the pizza place?
That is correct, sir.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, can you eat during the performance? But of course.
Something's going to happen. Again, this is a work in progress that we're playing for. And again, tonight's event is to help us sponsor that piece, that slice that we're working on. And again, we're looking for community involvement following to kind of see how can we fill this show out, what we can do, and how more the community can get involved with us, and how we can also get involved with the community.
But and then that will lead to a larger production
the following year at, again, the Festival of Arts and Ideas. Yes.
And is your guess that it will also be about a slice of life, so to speak, in New Haven?
Yeah, we're hoping we show the whole pie come the following June.
The whole pie. That's right. It's kind of wonderful to be developing a kind of artistic program around pizza.
Yes.
I mean, what could be like more hiding in plain sight?
I mean, hiding in plain sight, pepperoni slice, whatever you want, whatever topping you want, we're going to try to put on it,
So, Ruben, tell us a bit about the origins of A Broken Umbrella and why the decision to do theater based on, in a sense, New Haven history.
Well, we started here in New Haven, I think, about 15 years ago with a little show in Art Walk, our short story By a Tree, which is a fun little musical. And again, we have a tight group of friends that we all actually went to college together at Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is my hometown. But now this is my adopted city of New Haven, which we've grown to celebrate. One of our other members, Ian Alderman, is a lifetime, community member here in New Haven. And when we moved here, we started discussing about all the fun things. So, I think our first big show was based on a pirate that lived in Westville. So created a show. And so we have a gentleman named Colin Kaplan, who is a very
local historian
and pizza enthusiast. And he kind of helps us find these little nuggets. And I think we love creating original work. That's what we kind of learned in our school. So we figured, why not continue that? So we have a lot of spectacle, music, great story. And again, we like to be site specific because space is hard to find here in New Haven. And we're fortunate enough to actually have found a space that we're actually raising money for as well. And that's going a little further down the line. But we do what we can. We're like a little roaming a troupe. So
But the Blake Street site is a site where shows are performed also, or not?
Our current site on Blake Street, actually tonight, has been transformed into a 3-phase studio with a entire set for the Moose Piano Lounge, an entire wall of telephones, and we also have our newscasters in a little television studio as well. We have 2 garage bay doors that we open up during the summer, so our audience can sit outside. We can fit approximately 100 to 160 folks, which will be having live music this summer, also improv comedy. Yeah. And it's great for the community, great to just come out, have fun. Sometimes we just ask, the adults, keep your kids at home and enjoy an evening out in the town with us.
Keep your kids at home.
But tonight's show, have your kids watch it, please. They're gonna love it. We even have puppets tonight. So
You're listening to Ruben Ortiz, the executive director, the artistic director of A Broken Umbrella Theater Company, and to contribute towards the $20,000 that this wonderful local theater company needs for its shows now and in the future. The website again, Ruben, is
www.abrokenumbrella.org. If you catch the show tonight, we will have a QR code posted, make it easy for everyone to kind of to donate. However, and if you go on the Great Give website as well, just look us up at A Broken Umbrella, and please, give us a slice, give us half a slice, give us a whole pie, give us a clam pie. We're looking forward to anything that you're willing to offer. I believe these are tax-deductible donations, and the more the merrier. And also share our show this evening to your friends on Facebook. The more people watching, more eyes, more opportunities for our organization to gain the funds to help these artists and to help the community come alive and create great theater based and inspired by the history of this city that we live in and love.
So where does the name come from? I've never knew that. A Broken Umbrella.
You know what? That's a funny thing. I think Ian Alderman came up with the idea. I think they were living in Chicago at the time, and it's known as the Windy City, and seeing a broken umbrella every now and then is a kind of a funny thing. And we kind of went with it, and it's grown. It has a great charm, and we kind of love it. The acronym is always very silly because it's ABUT, a butt. And we play with it as much as we can. So, but yeah, it's fun, and we love our logo. And yeah, we just that's kind of our little thing now. That's our baby.
So the kids should watch tonight, and sometimes kids should stay home. But my sense is that you're very much of a community and family theater.
We are exactly a community and family theater. Our improv comedy tends to gear more adult, parent oriented. However, our shows in general are for our broad audience. We value family. We are created with families. Again, we do offer babysitting for our members of our troupe. I.e., if you're doing sound, lights, concessions, we help what you can, and we love when people come and help out. So yeah, we are a family organization, and again, it's nothing more. This is a passion and fun for us. And being in the studio working on this telethon has been just invigorating. Silly. We did a run last night, and we can't wait for to get some people on here to watch and enjoy.
That telethon is tonight, Facebook Live, A Broken Umbrella Theater Company.
Yes, A Broken Umbrella. You could also check us out on the Moose Piano Lounge on Facebook. We also be on all A Broken Umbrella streaming platforms, not only Facebook Live, but also on YouTube.
Ruben Ortiz, thank you very much for telling about this exciting stuff. And I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. I'm wondering what I might have on my slice for lunch.
I wonder. It also depends which is your favorite. We also have a tournament called the Golden Slice, so the communities pick their number one. We have a 4-way competition between Sally's, Pepe's, Next Door, and I believe it was Zanelli's. So tonight we're going to find out who actually wins the Golden Slice live during our telethon. So be sure to watch and check out for that as well.
Be there or be sliced.
Be there or be square, which is a Sicilian pie, right?
A Sicilian pie. That's right. Thank you very much, Ruben, and great good luck. And let us know about the pizza play as it evolves.
I will, and give us a call, folks. Enjoy the telethon tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.